on January 14th, I am going to open the meeting of the Hood River County School District Board of Directors. Welcome. All right, we will start off the meeting with any revisions to the agenda.
Yeah, good evening, Madam Chair. We have a revised personnel report tonight.
All right, everybody get a chance to look at that? I think Megan sent it out not too long ago. I think there's just a couple of changes on there. All right. Okay, we'll move right into the superintendent report.
All right. Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the board. Happy New Year, everyone. I want to begin by thanking our students, staff, and community for a smooth start to the 2026 following the winter holiday. I'm especially grateful to our staff for their dedication before and during the break, from our music teachers who shared outstanding holiday performances with the community, to the district-wide food drive led by HRCSD student leadership in support of the Fish Food Bank, to our athletic teams competing in winter tournaments. There is always something happening in HRCSD. As we enter the new year, I'd like to share several important updates. I'll start with Pine Grove School. During the final week before winter break, heavy rainfall caused significant flooding on the building's lower level. The water damaged flooring, baseboards, and materials in that space. Over the break, Chief Financial Officer Mark DeMoss worked to contract with Adams Restoration to dry the area and remove impacted materials, including carpet and lower portions of sheetrock. Chinook Plumbing also implemented a temporary drainage solution to redirect water away from the building. We are now in the restoration phase, which includes replacing drywall and flooring while also removing damaged materials and equipment. Because this area typically houses the Blossoms Preschool, their program has been temporarily relocated to the Pine Grove Gym. Mark and I have been working closely with Soki Galvez, the Blossoms owner, and Ann Cole, our early intervention and early childhood special education coordinator, to support this transition. We greatly appreciate Soki's flexibility and advocacy and support during this stressful time. I also want to recognize Mark DeMoss for his time and effort in lining up contractors over the winter break. Looking beyond the immediate repairs, our Long-Range Facilities Planning Committee will evaluate permanent drainage solutions and other capital needs at Pine Grove, including a potential roof replacement in the future. We anticipate the repairs related to the flooding will be completed and the preschool will return to its classroom by the end of January. Regarding our long-range facilities planning, as you know, our core planning team has been working on this process for several months alongside our broader long-range facilities planning committee, which has been meeting monthly since last June. As we move into this next phase, we are adding Jeremy Wright from Wright Public Affairs to our core team. Many of you will remember Jeremy from our local option levy. He was a valuable resource throughout the process and is highly recommended by Winnahaw Group for this type of long-range work. I am structuring the team this way because it brings significant value to our school district to have specialized strategy at the table. Jeremy will focus on the external strategy and regional insights within our core team. This allows our communications director, Steph Hoppe, a key member of both the core team and the larger monthly committee, to continue leading our district-wide operations and the implementation of our communication initiatives. By having Jeremy dedicated to strategic long-range facilities planning, we ensure this project receives the specialized attention it deserves without diverting focus from our day-to-day district priorities. We have significant momentum with our community committee, and adding this additional layer of expertise to our core team ensures we are as thorough and prepared as possible as we look toward the future. Our calendar committee, which includes union leaders for licensed staff, principals, and board members, met last week to continue discussions about next year's calendar. Our goal is to increase professional development time sustainably without creating additional challenges for families. The most recent proposal will be shared with licensed and administrative staff for feedback before the committee finalizes a recommendation and brings it to the board for approval. More to come on that work. On the legislative front, I encourage each of you to send a letter to our state legislators advocating for the use of the Education Stability Fund and for the protection of the local option equalization grant. A template has been shared in our community newsletter and is posted on our website for community members. The voices of board members and our broader community are critical as proposed budget reductions are being discussed. In addition, we have joined 5 other districts and COSA in a formal letter to the Ways and Means co-chairs requesting that these proposed cuts be removed during the state's rebalancing process. Yesterday, we notified the Hood River Valley High School and May Street Elementary School communities that we are opening searches for new principals as the current positions are interim this school year. We will host forums to gather input from staff and community members on the qualities they seek in their next school leaders, and we will invite staff and parents from both schools to serve on screening and interview committees. Notably, the elementary position is being posted as a general elementary principal opening. While May Street Elementary is the immediate need, this approach gives us the flexibility to build a strong candidate pool should additional leadership shifts occur across our elementary schools. Depending on the applicant pool, we may begin screening candidates in early February. I also want to share some encouraging data related to Parent Square, our new communication platform. At the midpoint of our first year, our engagement rate is outperforming national averages. While many districts report engagement between 35% and 50%, our school district is currently at 53%, with some schools, such as Westside Elementary, reaching as high as 75%. Most notably, we are just 9 student records away from 100% contactability district-wide. We continue to refine our communication guidelines to avoid overwhelming families, but this platform has already proven to be a powerful tool for connection. Finally, our partnership with One Community Health continues to show strong results. This fall, One Community Health and the school-based health center staff began providing behavioral health visits to both of our middle schools. As of December, they have provided 37 behavioral health visits across our 2 middle schools. By offering these services directly on school campuses, we are reducing barriers for students and families. We have also updated our website to make it easier for parents to enroll their children in these services. And that concludes my report for this evening.
Thank you, Bill. Any questions for Mr. Newton? All right, appreciate those updates. Okay, we will go on to any board member reports. Anybody do anything good? Go to any meetings? Not a whole lot going on over Christmas break, I guess, for winter break. Monica and I were at the calendar meeting, and I always really appreciate being able to sit in on those. Just it's a good time to hear sort of what the conversations are and how we sort of come to the end conclusion. It's nice to be a part of those, so appreciate being asked to come to that. All right, we'll move on to the student envoys then. I can't really see you guys down there, but I know you're there.
Rune is here.
Rune's here. Oh, yeah, Felipe's at,
He's gonna be a
Felipe
little
should
late.
be coming,
Okay.
but he just finished up swim practice, I believe. He has a meet tomorrow, so he can't miss it. Well, I'll start off our report. We have an update from the canned food drive, which we brought
hey,
in.
Rune, will
Sorry?
you move your mic just a little closer to you?
You
Thanks,
got it.
babe. Oh,
Sorry.
thank you.
Update from the canned food drive is that we brought in 1,906 pounds of canned goods and personal care items. We are now at $16,800 roughly. Our elementary schools combined brought in 2,855 cans. This was such a great year. The top 6 classes were Wiesman's class, which was actually mine and Felipe's. We came in first with 14,500 cans. Second was Mr. Hospella with 10,571 cans. Third was Brown with 6,590 cans. Then Foley with 2,600. And then in 5th place was Mr. Yasui, who did not have a class. He did this by himself during his prep period. So that was pretty impressive. And then in 6th place was Mrs. Yasui with 2,000 points. The top 4 classes are working on deciding what their prize will be. The choices are a bowling party, an in-class pizza party, Betty's cinnamon rolls, or movie party with snacks. So pretty good options. Personally, I went the bowling party. That was my vote. As a school, we were able to reach 54,449 points, which means as a school, we earned snacks at finals. Student government will have to do the polar plunge. There's going to be Tropicali at the function, which is our end of school dance, or end of the year dance. And we'll have an extra attraction, maybe some sort of bowl there. And we also get a late start Friday in this second semester. But this isn't going to disrupt any buses, and students who come early will have activities to do before that. So we just have to determine those. Our next big events are Winter Spirit Week, which is the first week of February, which ends with the Winter Formal on February 7th. That's being ran by GSA, the Gay Straight Alliance. HOSA will be in charge of the blood drive on February 19th, and students have been asked to email Ms. Wiesman audition videos for HRV's Got Talent by February 18th, but the actual event takes place March 13th. All right, that concludes my report. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Rune. Anybody, any questions for Rune about what's going on at the high school? All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate you being here.
Of course.
I mean, that's like, you said 1,900 pounds. I mean, it's like a ton.
1,900 pounds and, yeah, 50, or about $17,000.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's a huge turnout. That's wonderful.
definitely, yeah.
Well
You guys
done.
did an amazing job.
Yeah,
Thanks for doing
better
that.
than some previous years for sure.
Great job. I'm having a hard time hearing them. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. All right. We are going to move on then to recognition and good news with Gus Hedberg and Kim Yasui.
Madam Chair, members of the board, so glad to be here again to support recognition and good news for our school district. This month's meeting, we have a very special occasion here at Mid-Valley. As an HR director, I'm especially excited about this presentation. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Kim Yasui.
So we debated, we have a lovely staff, and each year when you've been here, we tried to highlight different things as our good news. Our PTO's gotten a lot of credit, but the Mid-Valley staff is kind of its own special group, and we wanted to acknowledge we have 63% of our staff are HRCSD, have been students in HRCSD. So 2/3 of my staff basically have come from Hood River, gone through the school system in Hood River, and chosen to come back and work here. So we have a few out in the audience, so if I could have them stand up. Be brave. I could stand too. I'm the oldest, so I don't really want to. When I looked around, I was like, oh no, that's me. But we have 36 staff members that went through the school district at different times, different places, different schools. We tried to get them to maybe turn in their senior pictures, and Megan offered to make me a slide with all of them in, the 90s and 2000s for their grad pictures, but we decided that might be, my hair was the, classic 90s thing. We don't need that, so. Gabby knows, she was with me. So anyway, they're a fabulous staff, and we are so happy to have them and so proud of how we've grown our own. So they are a testament to the school district, and we're happy to host them here. And they don't get to go anywhere else. Thank you.
I'll just say too, it's a really special thing here at Mid-Valley. It's really unique, and I do want to give credit to Kim. She has worked really hard on that and made specific efforts to recruit and create a school community where our graduates want to come back and work. And it's a tireless effort. You'll hear her recruiting at any chance she gets. So thanks to you, Kim, and thanks to the staff here. That connection to our community is really felt at Mid-Valley. So we do have a couple of traditions. What I want folks to do who are here, who are recognized, stop by that box and grab a mug, and you're going to bring your mug up, and we're going to take a picture with our superintendent. So swing on over. We have a special Hood River County camp mug for everybody. Thank you, Todd. And then we'll meet up here for a photo.
They were all warned there was a photo.
Okay, good. Okay. Come on over.
Cool mug, man.
Hey, Jackie, come this way. Come on up. Keith, come. You can do it.
Yeah?
Kim, what's the total number of staff? 36.
Jeez. Early 90s, Kim. Gus, I wonder how that percentage stack, like, I wonder if there's anywhere else in the state where they have that many grads that work in our district. I bet it is too. Yeah. That's awesome. Thanks, you guys. Does anybody have any questions for any of our amazing staff?
No, but I want to say thank you, Kim. I have personally had the experience of teaching at Mid-Valley, and it's very heartwarming, and I love it. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you for coming back.
It really is pretty, I mean, it's kind of overwhelmingly impressive that, I mean, I can't imagine that happens too many places. So that's fantastic. I'm glad you're all here. Okay, we are going to move on then to public comments. And this evening we have 5 public comments. I think the first one is virtual. So are we set up for that?
We're ready.
Okay, let me read the.
I don't see anybody online.
Okay, all right, I'm going to go ahead and read our statement, and then we'll see if we can get our first speaker online, and if not, we go in order of that they were received, and so we'll go through, and then if this person comes, then we can work them in. Okay, the Hood River County School District Board of Directors requests comments be limited to 3 minutes per speaker. Speakers will state their name and county of residence for the record. The board appreciates community members sharing information during public comments. While the board does not respond to public comment, following the meeting, the chair, vice chair, and superintendent will together determine the appropriate level response. Speakers may offer objective criticism of district operations or programs, but the board will not hear complaints concerning specific district personnel. If public comment exceeds 30 minutes and speakers are unable to make public comments to the board, or if you didn't get a chance to come, please submit your public comment by email to hrcsd.board@hoodriver.k12.or.us, and they will be reviewed by the board chair and superintendent. If the material you are speaking about could be considered inappropriate for certain age groups, please provide the comment in writing or provide notice to ensure adequate time is provided for those in the room to leave. Okay, so do we have Megan online?
Nobody online.
Okay. All right, then we will start with, we'll have Jesse Herenda Nance come up. Harada. Sorry, Jesse. I'm doing too many things at once here. And you can start whenever you're ready.
All right. Hello, my name is Dr. Jessie Harada Nance, and I'm a resident of Cascade Locks in Hood River County. I'm coming today to speak about the recent achievements at Cascade Locks Elementary and to reiterate our school's contribution to the district's vision of excellence, every student, every day, as the board turns their attention to budgeting for the upcoming fiscal year. In our school's listening sessions with Superintendent Bill Newton and other district personnel, one question asked how we determine if a school is successful. A point that came out of our conversation was this: a school is successful when every single student receives the support, resources, and interventions they need to achieve their best level of success. This is a metric that comes out of the lived experiences of the students at Cascade Locks Elementary. Recent conversations about education across Oregon have been pretty dismal, with disappointing achievement rates in both reading and math. While these trends have continued to vex education experts and professionals statewide, the rising achievement rates at Cascade Locks show how, despite statewide trends, our school is continually delivering excellence to Hood River County. As you know, in the past 5 years, Adriana Costa and her team have managed to grow our school's reading scores by an impressive 19%. And our mathematics scores have seen an even more dramatic improvement of 33% from the 2020-21 school year to 24-25. This kind of growth is only possible with the investments this board has continued to make into our school. While we did lose some classroom teachers last year, resulting in multi-grade classrooms, we were able to retain veteran teachers, Ms. Greer, Ms. Hafley, and Mr. Grease, who bring excellence to our classrooms every day. Staying true to the vision that every student gets the interventions they need, the board has retained crucial support staff in our building, with Ms. Barber helping with kindergarten, Ms. Holloway in the library, Ms. Pam with PE and music, Ms. Gordon and Ms. Getches providing push-in and instructional support. Each student gets the support and resources they need to reach their full academic potential. Cascade Locks is a bright star in the district and state. What the school staff is doing is working, but they can only do this if the board continues to invest in our children and community. Without full wraparound support, the growth we have seen would not be possible. Added to the support staff I named above, I want to recognize the work that Lacey Grease does as student support specialist in helping every student navigate social and emotional growth and often complex situations so that they can best meet the academic rigor they experience in the classroom. Our principal, teachers, and staff have worked tirelessly to ensure that our students are able to be successful. They are investing in our students, bringing their best, and doing more with less. We ask that you follow their good example and continue to invest in our school. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessie. Okay. Is Nico Yasui here? I don't think I saw him. Okay, if he comes in, we can squeeze him in too. Michaela Keller.
Good evening, Chair, members, and Superintendent. I want to recognize, first acknowledge, my name is Michaela Keller. I am a resident of Cascade Locks in Hood River County. Thank you for the opportunity to talk. I want to recognize Cascade Locks Elementary School and more broadly, all the schools in the Hood River County School District. Our schools are the heart of our communities. They are the places where students are known, supported, and encouraged to grow, not just academically, but socially and emotionally as well. Cascade Locks Elementary, like many schools in our district, serves a diverse group of learners with a wide range of needs. What makes our schools strong is not just curriculum, but the people that serve and surround us, students every day. Student support specialists, math interventions, reading specialists are not just extras, they're essentials. These roles are often the difference between a student failing behind and a student gaining confidence, skills, and a sense of belonging. When we talk about equity, we are talking about meeting students where they are and providing the support they need to succeed. Equity means recognizing that some students require additional academic and emotional support to access the same opportunities as their peers. Targeted math and reading interventions help close gaps before they widen. Student support specialists help address barriers that affect learning, whether those are social, emotional, or related to family circumstances. Maintaining these services sends a clear message to our students and families. You matter, and we're committed to your success. It also supports our teachers, who rely on these specialists as partners in meeting the needs of increasingly complex classrooms. With the many decisions that come with budgeting, I urge the board to prioritize maintaining these critical supports across Cascade Locks Elementary and Hood River School District-wide. Investing in student supports is an investment in the long-term academic success, community stability, and educational equity. Thank you for your leadership and your time and your continued commitment to students.
Thank you, Michaela. Okay. Albert Nance.
Hi, everyone.
Albert.
Ready?
I'm ready.
All right, cool. Is this good? All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you for your time. I'm Albert Nance, father of an elementary school student, PTO member, and I'm a big fan of Cascade Locks Elementary and art. I own Buddy's Arcade in Cascade Locks, and throughout the year, we collect money to buy art supplies for the Cascade Locks Elementary School by putting up art from the local students and selling them for donations. While we focus on art supplies of the visual medium, I do want to pivot just a little bit to celebrate Miss Pam from Cascade Locks Elementary School. She is a music teacher, and she worked with the students to write some absolutely delightful original songs for the winter recital. It was quite amazing, and it was really the talk of the town for a couple of days after that. Anyway, why do we focus on art? Art is an equalizer. Regardless of socioeconomic background, art has been shown to increase attendance, grades, and comprehension of math, science, and writing. That's to give some context. Unfortunately, last April, Buddy's Arcade was robbed. The thief took the donations we had been collecting as part of that year's supply drive. It wasn't a lot, but it was a start. To recoup the funds, we set up a GoFundMe, and the community outpouring for the students, for the school, and for the art supplies was nothing short of amazing. In just a few weeks, local area citizens donated $4,000 plus boxes and boxes and boxes of supplies. I'm sure Adrienne at some point got, every time she see me pulled up with more boxes of supplies, I'm sure she was like, oh gosh, where are we gonna put these things? Anyways, after chatting with Principal Acosta, I figured a great way to use these donated funds was to donate that money to Arts and Education of the Gorge to establish an art program that gets local artists to come into the school to teach the students. I specifically requested Cascade Locks artists because I wanted the kids to see the artists teaching them are the same people that they see at the store, at the post office, or even in restaurants, to show them that art is a fulfilling career, to give the representation that many kids need in their lives. It hasn't officially kicked off yet, but I'm excited this program is getting started. I'm proud to say each local artist I approached immediately said yes. I'm pumped our kids will get this opportunity, and I'm humbled how the community came together for the students. All of this is to note the great work of Principal Acosta and her team, Amy Gray of Arts and Ed, and to highlight how much the school and students mean to the Cascade Locks community. The community showed up big for these kids. I just helped find a way to turn their dedication into opportunity. I want to end by giving a shout out to all of the donors, lovers of art, the school, teachers, community, and everyone that makes Cascade Locks Elementary the place to be. Thank you.
Thanks, Albert. Okay, did Nico walk in while I was, no, not here, okay, not coming. Okay, and then do we have Megan online? No, okay. All right, well, we are now then going to close the public comment section of our meeting. If either Megan or Nico wants to submit something online, we would be happy to read that, or they can sign up for next meeting as well. All right.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
before we move on, I just want to recognize Felipe is here.
Oh,
So he walked in, so I just want to welcome Felipe.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I had mandatory practice all the way across town, so.
We heard.
that's all right. We're not as far as we could possibly get, but we're up here a little bit.
Thank you.
Yeah. Do you have anything that you want to add at this time, or?
No, that was pretty much it. The canned food drive went really well. We had a lot of students engaged, and it was really fun. The competition it was there. There were a lot of people like, oh, we're gonna win, we're gonna win, we're gonna catch up, and everyone was just super excited for it.
Awesome. Thanks, Felipe. Thanks for coming. I know it's a
Thank you.
busy. Yeah. All right. Fantastic. Okay, the members of the board got a chance to look at the consolidated reports and the consolidated action, and I would entertain a motion for that.
I move to approve the consolidated action as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, so moved by Dave, second by Corinda. Anybody have any comments or questions? Okay, hearing none. We'll start with Rich.
Aye.
Corinda.
Aye.
Brandy.
Aye.
Monica.
Aye.
Jesse.
Aye.
Dave.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, so that passes unanimously. All right, thank you, and thanks for your work on laying out the budget. Okay, then we are going to move right into reports and discussions, and we're going to hear from Mid-Valley Elementary School. And Kim Yasu, and she usually brings up a whole gaggle with her.
We don't have a gaggle, we have a gaggle early.
All right. We'll take Garrett, too.
He's running the tech.
What is Pumas? Is Pumas a gaggle?
What is a group of pumas? What are they referred to as?
They're solitary creatures.
Yeah, they're solitary creatures, unfortunately. But we're united together as a solitary creature. We're a collective puma.
I guess I could sit by Garrett instead of, 4 feet away.
All right. Todd, keep an eye on me to make sure if I need to do anything different with tech here. But Madam Chair, members of the board, thanks for having us. Thanks for joining us tonight at Mid-Valley. We're excited to talk about our school, obviously our wonderful staff, our wonderful students. Hopefully you got to meet a couple on the way in. So yeah, we're here to tell
I'm
you all
excited
about
to
it.
try January. For as long as I've been at Mid-Valley, it's been March, so January's nice. Change.
All right, so just we want to start with a little reminder about who we are as a school. This is just an update on our student population. As you've heard from Superintendent Newton, our student enrollment across the district has been shrinking a little bit, and that's true for our school. As this data was from, I think, a week ago, we were down to 330 students. That's mainly due to just attendance this time of year. We're about at 350. But you can see just some demographic data about our school in terms of being, the vast majority of our students are Hispanic Latino. The vast majority of our students are ever EL, meaning at some point in their life they're a part of our English learner or multilingual learner program in the school district. 23% migrant, and about 60% are in our EL program, our multilingual learner program.
And in case we forget to mention it 50 times, we're still a dual language school.
Yes.
All the way through, K
Yes.
through 5, we've rolled it all the way up, so
All
very
classrooms, no strands. This is just our whole school.
And just as a side note, the 330 for me is a very striking number. My first year as principal here, we had 528 students. That was 11 years ago. So that's a significant change in Odell.
We did
Right.
do a little boundary movement, too.
There was a
during that
boundary
time,
move
but
too,
yeah.
a little bit.
Yep.
We want to start off by stating very clearly, Mid-Valley is an avid school. This is something that we've been excited about, and we've gotten further and further along in. We're following the coattails of Cascade Locks being a showcase school, and we're really excited about the work that our team is doing. I placed up in here the Avid College and Career Readiness Framework. That's something that if you got to be at Cascade Locks Showcase not too long ago, Adrian did a great job of really demonstrating exactly these core components of what they are and how they show up in a school in terms of instruction systems, leadership, and culture, key elements of all the things we're working on, as well as what specific elements students need and the things we're doing as educators to make sure and give them everything they need to be career and college ready.
And we are confident that in 2 or 3 years, we'll get to come up and say, and our scores look as Cascade Locks has made phenomenal growth. We're on the cusp. We are ready to take the plunge.
We wanted to start thinking about those quadrants with instruction. You might have known that across the district we're working on writing. That was something that we looked into last spring and kind of thought about as our school, looking at our data and saying that's something that we want to get into, and we're excited when the district said, yeah, that's going to be a big focus for us moving forward is for writing. So our team has been hard at work. This is an example of Fifth grade student. I know that's impossible to read, but it's a well-written paper in Spanish, and it's beautiful. It's just a sample of some of the writing. I wanted to show that kind of microcosm of just one student, but really that's a whole class, and that's a whole grade, and that's a whole school. We're all doing a lot of work on writing in a big way.
And when you walk through the halls, you'll see lots of different examples, kindergarten through 5th grade, that writing is the focus and the teachers have bought in.
And to go into another example of our Avid instruction, we've got a short video here looking at focus notes, something you might remember us from a previous presentation talking about. So I'm going to let the students do the work here and showcase everything. Todd, help me out if I don't do it right.
Hey, we're 3rd graders in Mr. Munn's class, and we're going to show you how to do 3-factor multiplication.
Before we get started, we open up to our Avid 2-column notes.
First step with switch factor if needed. Put 2 smaller factors next to each other.
Step number 2, put parentheses.
Do this first! Step 3, multiply what's inside the parentheses. Step 4, bring down the leftovers.
Step 5, multiply the new equation.
gonna use our notes to multiply by 10. Step number 1, count the zeros. Step 2, take off the zeros. Step 3, multiply. Step 4, put the zeros back on. Step 5, put commas. That's how we use our Avid notes to do math.
So we didn't bring him in person, but are those not the sweetest third graders? And thanks to Nia Lopez and Mr. Munn's class, they switched back and forth for dual programming and then for math instruction, so they helped shoot the video for us, so.
Speaking of our students, another component of AVID is leadership. So right here is a list of our school leadership team. This year, or the last year, and then more this year, we've shifted to more of a shared leadership model with how we do a lot of things as a school. This is really showing we have a large team of folks that are really working together collaboratively to kind of move our work forward together. In addition to the adults, we have a lot of students doing the leadership around our school. You met a few on the way in. These are our Puma ambassadors, and this is, I know you can't read it, a large list of all the work they're doing around our school. Some of them are helping out in the library, some of them are helping out in assembly, some of them are helping out in the cafeteria, cleaning up recess materials. They're doing all kinds of things. The main point is they're ambitious, they're taking on leadership opportunities, they're coming to hunt me down with ideas about things that they could work on too that would make a difference, and they're doing great. We're excited about the potential and the great things they're bringing for our school.
The part I love about the ambassadors, it's not necessarily the glamorous, like this for kids is, it's also, they're teaching kindergartners how to wipe tables off in the cafeteria. They are neatening the lost and found. They're going across the playground and picking up the soccer balls after recess. So they're kids who said, I want to do more to help my building. So it's not just, I get a little ambassador shirt. They're working hard and learning skills and wanting to do better themselves. So all a part of AVID.
And an example of that is none of these students are missing out on their instruction time. A lot of these kids actually are giving up their core, I would say, like
Recess
social
time,
recess
fun
time,
time.
and switching that sometimes with a different time so they could do more and helping out in other places. So sometimes they're having lunch with a different age group because then they have more time to do what they're wanting to do as an ambassador. And that's a high level of commitment for kids that age. That's a big deal. Another element is systems. So well, obviously, as an AVID school, a number of systems at our school, but we focus our instructional work in the AVID way with what other schools might call Wicker. For us is Cielo. So those are the instructional elements that we really focus on: colaboración, investigación, escritura, lectura, organización. So these are the main elements that we're teaching and learning about all the time and really working on in terms of school staff and instruction.
And credit to Sandra Dominguez, who was sitting in the audience, might still be here, for converting wicker, which is not a great word in Spanish to set there, to cielo, which has a beautiful sound when you're saying it in Spanish, and also represents well AVID.
Another element of our systems is an example with our work with writing. So this is an example of the work our staff has really been working on to, take what we've been working on instructionally from one-pagers, from focus notes, from organization, and applying that learning to just writing in different scenarios, the writing process, putting that all together for a very systematic way to teach our kids and support them with growing their writing skills. And we're really starting to see that show up across the board in all of our grades. a lot of strong alignment from all of our teachers at each grade level with the work they're doing together. And it's been exciting to see. We're just really proud of all their efforts.
And the teachers have done a great job using it with the reading materials that we have as part of our adopted materials. So the writing they're doing is related to the reading they're doing. It's not an extra piece. And that takes a lot of work for them because it's not built in necessarily. So they're applying that themselves as groups of teachers.
Speaking of our systems, this is our site team, the work of our Avid site team, the work of our school-wide efforts of what we do specifically for instruction for Avid. And we try, and I'm sure have seen something similar from Cascade Locks about the intentionality we're trying to bring with learning something and actually building and maintaining that level of work collectively across the whole school. So it's not something we're trying out and just doing a potpourri approach to everything ever. We're trying to intentionally tackle what we can and really be focusing our professional learning, our collaboration, all of our efforts on that so we can slowly grow over time. So we started 3 years ago, and the first year was just focus notes. The next year, I really wanted us to just focus on one thing, but our staff was just too passionate. They're like, no, we can do two. We can do two. So we got into organization and inquiry a little bit, and we're now jumped this year heavily into writing, and I've been doing writing all year in a big way. So again, kudos to the hard work of our staff and students for really committing and learning and just following through on those efforts. Other systems, we did a lot this year around health and wellness. We had a lot of things just come together at the same time. Some families that were really talking to us about health in school.
They were talking to you too. It's public record.
We also have the luxury of an amazing food corps staff member that gets to be at our school and do some learning around food and nutrition. And
it's Grace's second year. So we've had food corps for 2 years and had the same food corps volunteer here. So that's been huge for what we're able to do and what Grace is able to help teach.
So that's been centered around a lot of learning for kids, but a lot of also adult actions that we're trying to do for health and wellness for our staff. We followed as much of our nutrition services director Jordan's guidance as best as we could about rearranging things to provide recess before lunch, try and maneuver the schedule as best as we can to provide a little bit more seat time for kinder and first. We've been able to increase health time a little bit, basically with the collaboration of how SEL instruction and health is a part of the new curriculum together. We have an amazing staff wellness leader in our PE teacher, Stephanie Perkins, who does a lot for our staff. She might be in the house, go to Steph. So just a lot around health and wellness.
If you look over in the corner, they've got a yoga class and some things that they come and lead themselves after school. So they're doing, in-house yoga and other healthy things. You can see I'm not going to that, sorry.
Culture is another part of our Avid systems, and this is just a couple of examples how we celebrate and build our school culture. On the left is just an example of our recognition from a school assembly. We have an assembly every other month and recognizing important themes and traits that we're teaching our students about. And so we get a chance to recognize the students for their hard efforts and different things. And then we always try and come up with different ways to recognize our staff. We never do enough is the answer. We have an amazing staff. We want to continue to find ways to make sure they're celebrated. So the latest iteration was just little things that I made that we're going to post in a lot of different ways. Just staff and families giving little shout outs to staff members that we want to make sure we're recognizing and putting them around the school, the community, other places. So that's part of the culture we have and we're building. And I can't say anything more about that without recognizing our PTO. We know we've shared a little bit about our PTO in the past, and we will continue to do so because of how much.
They don't stop.
Yeah.
They are, every couple weeks, they're like, we got another idea, we're gonna try this. The next slide is a great example of, just underneath your feet actually is what they've set up as the Puma Pantry, where they have collected in lost and found donated items. They have a secret donor that they have somehow found who has brought in food, they've got clothing for families that need it. So teachers sign up kids, and then the office makes contact, and the families can come when we can arrange just for staff to kind of help them out, and they can take what they need and just something to help keep them getting through, especially hard times when we don't have as much employment, or little snacks for kids over breaks. But the PTO said, we see a need, and they came up with a way almost instantaneously on how to support it, so.
Yeah, we can't say enough about everything they're doing. Before this, I was at a meeting with the PTO, with the other PTOs, and, one of our PTO members was speaking about the work that they were doing with the Fish Food Bank and writing this other grant and working on this other thing. They are tireless about their efforts for our school, and we can't say enough about them.
They're probably very tired when we say they're tireless. They're probably very tired.
That's true. Just more about them. We can't say enough about our playground. We told you about that plenty the last time you might have been here, but they had continued additions. So this is a little seating area that's brand new with pavers on the side of our school next to our playground.
And what used to be a muddy, useless slope is now a lovely place for kids to sit, play, visit, have little classes outside once the weather's better. And then a beautiful covered area that now has bricks surrounding it that, like, my family might have 12 bricks out there that have different family members from Mid-Valley, so I can walk around and say, oh, there's my kid's name, and so, nice connection.
Yeah, and it's also nice. They're picnic areas that are heavily used by our families in the community all the time. Again, if you spend any time in Odell, any person there will refer to
the park.
Our playground as the park, because it is the community park. So that's something that our PTO has done a great job of continuing to build and do great things for our families. Again, they do a number of events throughout the year. I just wanted to highlight that they are well-attended, amazing events in support of our families, and they always make sure they're super fun, and the kids have a great time, and the families get involved. So yeah, these are just a couple of those. Okay, academics. In terms of all of our systems, we want to just kind of call out, again, we are a dual language school, so this is our reading in Spanish. We've seen slow, steady growth over the years. This is our, data in Spanish and then English. This is data from the fall, so the last 2 years. We want to kind of highlight, I watched May Street's presentation, and I wanted to kind of do elements that were similar just to make that easier for you to kind of see some of those connections. So in the fall, you can tell we've got a lot of work to do each fall about, differences that we want to make for our student outcomes.
Summer is hard for us. We lose a lot from, when you flip to the next slide, we can grow them, but we haven't figured out how to stick it for the summer yet. So we're still working on how do we make more enduring, lasting learning that isn't just because we're in school and the teachers have got them in front of them.
So up there, the first group is lectora, so in Spanish, our reading. You could, I know maybe you can't read that, but the first one says a +8 because we showed some growth in the meeting and exceeding from the fall to the spring that was +8 2 years ago. And then last year, I know you can't read that, but last year's fall to last year's spring, we saw a growth of +17. So again, we're feeling that slow and steady growth. Same thing with English. That number you can't read for 2 years ago was it went up 4. Last year's it went up 8. We're just seeing that slow, steady progression. This is another view of the reading scores. Again, the fall data the last few years. This from STAR data, and this is Spanish, like toward the fall the last 2 years.
So this is comprehension, older kids.
Older kids primarily, yep. So again, just showcasing that we work hard, we show some great gains. We get the expected or beyond expected growth for our kids, but it's tough when we start over again in the fall, and it's kind of dropped a bit. Another example of that is with our math data. So this is math iReady data for the last 2 fall data points, beginning of the year. You can see the tiny little bit of green of 9 or 8% at the...
So look at fall 2024 there, and then when he flips the slide...
This is the spring data for our math. So the green is obviously significantly farther than just the tiny little 8 or 9%. Now we're, moving up to the 46, almost 50%. So we were able to make that great growth, but again, we did that in 23-24 spring, and then again, the fall, it fell back. So you can see if the fall 24 went up to, 40% or whatever, then it dropped back for the fall 25. So this is, our work. This is our work to kind of continue to find ways to build, the strength of our programs, what we're offering, and continue to do better and better and try and get to maintain. Attendance. We've, been working on attendance with the district as well. We've seen, just steady growth over the last couple of years. We've been proud of our efforts of our attendance team and our teachers of really working on that and just showing slow growth. One of the areas of research that we learned from the district attendance efforts was really some research around families needing to hear that it's more than just academics about coming to school, right? Because we have a lot of families that are feeling like, well, my kid's not really falling behind too much academically, and then we're doing these important things, and it's okay if they miss every once in a while. And so we've really had a lot of our messaging, like this example, shift to really make it known to our community, like our school day is a lot more than that. The social emotional skills, the opportunities that they're developing, professional skills, are also important, and those come from those opportunities being at school and working with their peers. And so we're really trying to focus on their whole child experience at school, connections that they get to make with their friends, the whole experience from being here, and that's a big part of coming to school every day. That makes a big difference.
Let's look at those faces. We just miss them when they're not here. They're just cute.
I will say this is maybe my strongest point of pride. This is something that I take to heart very closely because I used to be an ELD teacher. I was an instructional coach for English language development and a title director. And what I have in front of you is our state report cards metrics of how we're doing as a school with on track to English language proficiency. How fast our students in the English language development program are acquiring academic English. And what you see is not only just we've had great growth over the years, but if you're looking at that chart with the percentages of the last few years, you'll see exactly how much that's been improving. The colorful chart that says on track to ELP with the cut numbers, that's from across the state of Oregon. So it's showing you that our last year's report card gave us a 3-year average of our scores, saying that we're at level 3 or just above, better than average for how the state's doing in terms of English language development progress. So that's good. We're doing better than average about how, as a school, our students are acquiring English.
But we remind you that they're acquiring English when we are teaching 80% of their day in Spanish. So they're getting, 50 to 80%, depending on the grade, but they're learning English while we are instructing them to read and write in Spanish.
And again, that's intentional. That's what the research says around dual language, that we are doing that on purpose because that is the best, most effective means for language acquisition. And I do want to point out, last year we had 65%. That is above the level 4 cut score of advanced ratings for across the state. So assuming we're on that same path, something similar to it this next year, we will be in the above average or the higher zone across the state of Oregon for what we're doing for on track to ELP.
And we are confident that Craig McMillan and his team are going to get us there.
We are.
We're going to have a 3-year average at a level 4.
We are. And one of the reasons that's important to realize for our school is the majority of our students are in this program. The majority of the kids at our school are a part of the ELD program. So when we talk about the success of our English learners, we're really talking about the success of our school, the school systems, all staff, because these are all things that are really working hard together to make that happen.
And I see it always as the canary in the cave. It's telling me that in a year or two, this will translate out to better state testing scores. We're right there. They're almost over that learning curve, and we've almost got it there.
And also we always want to talk about our amazing staff. We want to highlight how much of everything they do at our school. They work on things about bathroom skills for students. They work on feeding. They work on different types of behavior systems. They work on social emotional skills. They work on just a great number of things beyond just kind of what we typically think about sometimes with school and reading and writing and math. And they really go above and beyond for our kids in a big way.
Every day, all day. So the whole excellence every student, every day. Our staff is excellent with every student, every day, and they go above and beyond.
And this is just some of the fun we're having. There's some great opportunities with STEM and the STEM field trip that the kids got to take.
In the
to
bottom corner, we want to thank
CCC.
Duckwall. They sponsored one of our families, brought in gifts at Christmas time for one of our families, so they got a very exciting celebration. And there were like 6 loads of that coming in for a family. It was amazing.
Yep. All righty. And we just had a call out. This was a special year in that we also had special guests from the Timbers get to join our campus, and that
We
was
won't play it for you. You can hit it on your own, so
Yeah,
it doesn't
you-
have the herky-jerkies.
Yeah, well, we'll let you launch that one on your own, but we just wanted to call out, that was a really special opportunity, something in connection with Providence, and a really cool opportunity for our kids. In case you weren't here, our kids were just a little bit excited about it.
And their parents.
And their
And their
parents.
cousins.
Yeah.
And we had staff again who stayed after on the hottest day of the year, outside with those kids, making sure that they got to be there in line to experience meeting the Timbers. And kudos to the Timbers team and to Providence for hosting them, but they were wonderful with the kids and really asking them, how are you doing in school, not just signing autographs. They did a great job.
So just shout out to them. Yeah, that's it. Thanks for having us. What questions can we answer?
Any questions?
I mean, I just, I don't have a real question, but I just really am excited to see you really looking at AVID in different ways and making that kind of a part of your whole goal there. And I'm really excited about the writing part. I think that's phenomenal, but how you're incorporating all of it and that you changed it to Cielo and like, I really.
And all the credit to the teachers for that, because AVID doesn't have a Spanish strand for us.
Right.
So they are translating that, making it work, redoing sheets, to make sure that the kids can do it bilingually. So they're taking the extra effort for it.
Really impressive. So your staff is really impressive, and we really thank all of them for being here tonight too and coming. It's really, really kind of you all to show up, and we love seeing you. And so thanks very much.
I'd love to see it. I mean, it really feels like a community. Community's engaged, and your staff is really engaged, and it's showing, right, in what you guys are doing. So I appreciate all you guys' hard work on that, and all the staff that was here tonight. Appreciate you guys coming.
I do have a question for you. I know that, I'm sure that a lot of schools suffer for the summer drop, but are we having discussions about what we can do to, your numbers are really impressive until you get to that fall, and I just hate to see all that great growth just kind of, I know it doesn't all go away, but
Yeah,
are we talking about what we can do to mitigate that?
Yeah, there's a couple of things that stand out to us as, we feel make big differences and that we can tell. One of those is summer school. Another one of those is Jumpstart Kindergarten. And another one that we see on the horizon that we would like to work hard towards is preschool. Those are all things that we see as, access opportunities that, other schools in our community and other families, they have those opportunities in different ways, and we feel like that makes a big difference. For our kids that do get to participate in those kinds of things, we get to see those added strengths from them, and so we can't help but say, like, we really want to offer that for our kids and our families. We see that as a difference maker.
Can I ask, have we separated out because I know not every kid gets to participate in our summer school program. So have we separated or thought about separating out like some of this data based on the kids who did get to participate? Like, do they have scores that dropped less? Like, are we seeing any of
We've
that?
hand-polled those at times. I don't know that we've had a great way of doing it consistently, so it's really like going kid by kid, pulling out, and then making our own little spreadsheet. There isn't a magic system that we have. And there's also attendance at summer school, so it's 15 days at the longest typically,
Right, no, I
and
know.
if they're there 10 of the 15, they also get marked as participating if they're 1 at 15. So, but I would love to look at that and see what kind of specific data impact we could look for.
I would too. Especially when we are really trying to keep that going and asking our legislature definitely to support it every year. It'd be really great to see if the slide stops on that. So
We'll look over at Amy and say,
Yeah.
I just want to say thank you. And as a former, or I guess a Puma alumni, it makes me very happy to hear all of the wonderful things that are happening. I really hope I don't start to cry because I get really emotional
we
about
put
it.
Kleenex out just for this
Thank
occasion.
you. But like, you know, I'm thinking back to when I was a kid, and it's so cool that we have so many bilingual teachers now. I'm catching myself. It's awesome that it's K through 5 now. I don't think we really had much of a bilingual program except for like Gabby when I was here. So it's so cool and super amazing that so many staff members were students as well. So awesome, awesome work. I love it.
I'm going to give the plug now because I know that some of you won't be here later. But this kind of thing is when we are writing letters to legislators about funding, and I encourage all the staff here to try and do this, these are the kind of things that they need to hear. They need to hear very specifically that if we have funding for summer school, if we have funding for preschool, if we have funding for Head Start, it makes a difference to these kids and to the staff because we don't have to spend the first couple months catching us back up from where we ended the last year. So, I know you all work so hard, but if you can take some time in the next month or week to write to your legislators and just say very clearly, like, as a staff member, like, we're so proud of what our kids do, but we need help. And that help comes from funding, and funding specifically for these programs that we know will really make a difference to our kids. And that kind of advocacy, you cannot put a price on it. It speaks so directly to legislators when you can say, I know, and this is what you can do, and this will move the dial. So I just encourage everybody, if you have time and a little inclination to reach out and tell your story, it means a lot coming from people that are actually in the work. So, yeah, thank you.
I'm going to jump on that bandwagon. I was going to say that before, actually, but no, but seriously, if all 7 of us write a letter, that's great. If 13 more of you guys, and maybe, I'm sure there's lots of people listening online, but if we, 20 letters says a lot more than 7 or something like that. So, and Superintendent Newton has put out a whole format. I mean, it's great if you write your own, but you can literally pull that. It's ready to go. It's email. You don't have to buy a stamp, but it's going to make a difference because these funds are what we can either keep these programs going or that's the only way we fund them. They obviously all cost money. So
maybe we can make it more.
and the legislative session starts on February 2nd. So now is really the time because as we come up to that, if that's on everybody's radar, I guarantee you every other various groups in the state are all out there advocating for their funds. I don't mean just other school districts, but other departments in the state. And we need to do that or we're going to come out last in that. Also, separate, I've gotten lucky enough to do a couple of school visits with Bill and met quite a few of you and so appreciate the work with Avid, but also just your commitment to the kids just showed. I mean, so many times I'm walking down the hall and there was just, not just doing your job, there was like love for kids there. And I really appreciate that because it makes a big difference it's changing kids' lives, so thank you for that.
You also want to say thank you again for putting all this together and giving that extra time, extra effort, and just the all that you guys always put in. It's very nice to see all the work that the students do.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, really appreciate it. Okay. We are going to move on to the budget process and timeline report with Mark DeMoss.
Talking about money.
As always.
I know.
Sorry, Mark. We'll stay and listen, Mark, don't worry. Oh, I know.
Nobody ever wants to stay for the budget until it comes to paycheck time. Anyway, let me,
63 billion to make a paramilitary force to shoot tear gas at our own citizenry, but we can't do education. Sorry. Just on IG.
Me too.
all right. Get rid of that.
I just hate to see us take money.
Madam Chair, members of the board, tonight we wanted to provide you with an overview of our budget timeline. So tonight, we're not necessarily going to talk about the details of the budget. We want to talk about how it's made. One of the things that's obviously very clear, we've talked about it at different times, you've seen it, we live in uncertain times. Last year's budget, if you recall, we walked in and we had to figure out a $4 million budget cut while at the same time not knowing what our revenue number is. I would say that between this year and next year, that our revenue numbers are even less certain. And so the only way I can phrase it is if you're putting it in education terms, it's like a math problem where someone says, here's AX plus BY equals Z. We're not going to tell you what Z is, but solve for X and Y. That's the budgeting process. That's okay, because how we respond to uncertainty affords us a certain opportunity, and that is to broaden the scope of our thought, to be creative, to think outside the box, to look at opportunities of both, not just ways that we reduce costs, but ways that we reinforce programs that are successful, and challenge ourselves to look over time and perhaps even jettison processes that maybe aren't as valuable as we'd like them to be. And so this budget process, although we're talking about fiscal year 26-27, I just want to emphasize is really a multi-year process. I think we talked about last year many times, and I made the statement that most of our budgeting over the next couple of years is really going to be to set us up for the beginning of the 27-29 biennium. We know that there were PERS changes last year that caused significant cuts. There'll be additional changes in 27 to 29. And in addition now, we have the uncertainty of federal budgeting to the state level in many ways, those things. And so what we're looking at this year is responding to this sort of uncertainty by looking at things in terms of risk, looking at revenues as variables to that equation, and then as those numbers come in over time, it'll inform us on this process. In order to respond to that, we'll create budget scenarios, much as we did last year. I guess I would just emphasize to everybody, the board, the public, that as we are talking about scenarios in terms of our budget, we're talking really about expenditures. How will we respond differently to a $1 million cut versus a $3 million cut? And when we talk about a $3 million cut, it's not that we're necessarily planning on that to happen. It's just simply we need to be prepared, because we'll talk about it when we talk about the timeline. Nobody's helping us in this process, because we're going to have to solve that equation and come up with an answer before people have told us what some of those numbers are. And so this is how we're going to do that. In terms of those risk factors, information regarding state and federal budgets are going to be produced both during and really after our budget process. And some cost factors like PERS and license negotiations are going to be impacting the budget. And so we're going to make assumptions for these risks. And as we do that, I think it's important to realize if we make assumptions about license negotiations in our budget, it's because we have to put numbers on paper in February. And even though we're starting those negotiations in March, and we'll hopefully conclude them before the end of the year, that's not a statement of like our position, that's a statement of having to create a budget. And so these processes, they're crossing over a lot of different areas, and that's what we'll talk about tonight. As most of you know, we discuss a lot of these risk factors in detail as part of our FAC meetings. Several of you are on that committee. Those of you who aren't on the committee, I really do suggest following up on the recorded conversations. I'll point out some places in here where we covered those things in detail to give you some background. And so once again, in terms of a timeline and a process, remember, we took a critical look at last year's budget process. We got feedback on the process, forget the way the budget numbers came out. What was the process? And if you recall, budget committee members wanted more training, a better process. We wanted to standardize and streamline how information was presented. So could we present PERS in one place instead of in 4 different, budget here, FAC here, this, that. And so a big part of what we're trying to do is really standardize that process and information. And so we keep the lists. And so if something comes up like PERS, and you go, wait, I know Mark said something about this or whatever, we're going to try to keep the list so that you guys can go back and look at, it was like October of last year in a FAC meeting, we talked about site accounts. Nobody's going to remember that but me, so we wrote it down. So we're gonna work on that so that you guys have sort of a crib sheet to go to if you want to go look at some of that background. Obviously, you can always ask questions. This is sort of an overview of the standard budget timeline. I'll just remind everybody, we do have a formally adopted budget calendar, which is posted on the business services page for budgeting. And so those dates are there. But a few things that we just want to highlight. I like how Gemini made this pretty because it sort of shows the river, shows like a gorge, shows like all this, and that's really what it is. It's a process. We're flowing through. And in many cases, some of these things, we're following the path that other people are forcing us. The channels, we're not getting to dictate always where it goes. So January 14th today, we're just going to give you an update on the process and where we're at. February and March, just like last year, we'll be doing budget listening sessions with both staff and community. We took a lot of that feedback last year. I think we'll have a lot of that feedback this year. We've worked very hard, Cabinet, ADCO, certainly Superintendent Newton, in creating tools to help us evaluate programs in size. It's one thing to say, well, do we want to do AVID or do we want to do whatever, but what does it really cost, And then being able to look at those things critically and decide, okay, this is something, like I said, it's not just about cutting, but maybe it's something we should be doubling down on, right? And so in which case, other things have to go away. And so we're working on putting those tools together. As a reminder, as we know, we've talked about the legislative session is in February 2nd to March 8th. The economic forecast should come out in February, and we will see where that goes for this year. In addition, there are these legislative reduction, the ODE plans that we talked about. Remember, local option equalization grant was one of those things. There's a letter on the website. You can download it and send it in. That's just a pitch. Support your school district because the local option equalization grant is about a $750,000 a year item. February and March, we will go through and make formal recommendations for what to do. We are saying it's a budget reduction. I'll talk about why. We've talked about it in the past, but we know that there are changes not just next year, but the year after that are going to happen related to PERS and site accounts. And like I said, we'd rather spread those things out. If you have to make a $2 million cut, it's easier to make 2 $1 million cuts than it is to make 1 $2 million cut and then figure out what to do afterwards. So time becomes really valuable. Time also becomes really valuable in terms of this uncertainty that's going on because if I reduce something today, it gives me contingency, it gives me more room in case something changes in the future I'm not accounting for. At the April 8th school board meeting, we will do our formal presentation of what our proposal is. Remember that the budget process is an annual process under Oregon budget law. We will try to comment as best we can on how that then affects us in subsequent years, but we won't be approving like a 2-year or 3-year budget. We'll simply be approving the 1-year budget as required. April 28th and May 5th is our budget committee meetings. With our feedback from last year, we have decided that we will hold both meetings regardless. There won't be sort of like the last minute, let's ratify it on the 28th. Everyone's going to have to plan to come back on May 5th anyway. And so that'll give people time to really consider the budget, ask questions after that, because I know it gets really rushed. By the time we produce the document and send it out there, it's an inch thick. Nobody really has time to read it and all that stuff. So this will give people time. And then, of course, in May, we have to adopt the final budget prior to the end of the school year. At the bottom is sort of this unknown timing. The federal education budget is unknown. Will we, have a budget? Will we be under continuing, resolutions, et cetera? What does the biennium funding look like for next biennium? How does Medicaid funding at the federal level filter down to the state level and then impact biennium funding for state school fund, those kind of things. And even future PERS rate changes, because we won't know until December of next year what the rates will look like for February, even though right now they haven't predicted an increase in PERS itself by itself. We won't know till the actuarial people sitting in little rooms with calculators figure that out, which won't be till later. We presented this slide in FAC, and this is sort of I wanted to just recap this here so people can understand. These are sort of the main variables for revenue. We've obviously got the federal funding, we've got the PERS side account expiration, which I won't go into here. That's what's sort of the minimum we know is gonna happen over the course of the next 2 years. And then we have this state school funding, which unfortunately, normally we would just be trying to consider what's gonna happen in the 27-29 biennium, but now we have to put not only 26-27 biennium numbers on the table, but we're faced with cuts to 25-26 based on the local option equalization grant to the current year funding based upon whatever the legislature decides in February or March. That's the uncertainty. And so in that process, as we talked about in FAC and we did notes, I did update this slide just a little bit. I was trying to come up with sensitivity analysis to sort of describe, hey, here's the range of things that can happen. And based upon all of these just variables that are there. And if you notice, it becomes pretty significant, right? Like I said, I wouldn't think at this time of year I'd have to be worried about a revenue reduction in 25-26, but you'll see there's 1.1%. And that's related to the local option equalization grant. 26-27, if we take all of those variables and we look at minimums and max, it can range anywhere from 2 to sort of 10%. And obviously in the next biennium, it could be even bigger because you may have a state school fund that increases funding, but it just doesn't increase at the state rate average. And that could be a real problem for us if our contracts and all of our inflation are ahead of that number. And so this gives you this is sort of the range in thinking, and so then this governs how we create these sort of cost expenditure scenarios that advise us on what we're going to do in each case. On this slide, I've taken the budget timeline, and these vertical lines are supposed to be when this information drops. So as we're putting together these budgets, we should get a PERS side account update, hopefully at the OASBA Winter Conference. In terms of how the calculations are, when does our side account expire, et cetera. The legislative reductions, of course, will come out of the legislative process. The state school fund projection usually then isn't promulgated until March. Of course, at that time, we're already trying to come up with recommendations for the budget reduction, but you don't know what your primary revenue source is doing. We also then have a line here for license group negotiations, which really should be like a big bar because we're doing it. But you get an idea of that's going on as those things are coming in. And we even have things like long-range facility planning, making recommendations probably in the June timeframe, which could inform us on future bond initiatives, financing for capital projects, things like that, deferred maintenance. And I just drew a box around those unknown timing issues because we don't know when those things are going to drop. And that's our challenge. Any questions?
Do we think we do know? Sorry, the legislative reductions would be kind of coming out by mid-March or something then?
I think the legislature will have to decide what they're going to do, and so hopefully, as that's ongoing, they will make those decisions, but,
Reasonable hope that that's less of a variable at that point.
Reasonable hope.
On a
They
completely
should.
different note, I just really want to applaud you and whoever came up with this figure. I mean, the river, the flow, it's a dynamic.
I think that was
fluid.
Superintendent Newton who actually put all of that
I mean, it's
in.
locality,
Yeah,
it's correct,
That's what I
really,
thought,
so
thought too.
that's a very serious topic, but I wanted to
It is. Well, you know what?
also commend you on that.
I never get to put pictures of kids having fun, so that's as good as we get.
I really appreciate that. And more seriously, though, also your sensitivity analysis, I mean, it's all just really helpful. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a brutal topic, but it's nice to feel like we've at least got an approach
Yeah.
figured out on it.
Yeah, and we will make value decisions, we'll look at things, it's weird things, it's how do you evaluate a class size, class size ratio, how do I evaluate class size ratio when enrollment's declining, but I have sped kind of factors increasing counter to that? I think I would say out of this process, what would be really great towards the end of this process is if we start generating a set of statistics that really describe how the district's financially going to be doing, and it's not necessarily fed by the ratios that typically get talked about, because those numbers sort of get obscured to the process. So.
Mark, I want to just thank you and your team for listening to the feedback that we got about the budget process last year and really making some, what I see are really positive changes. And there's two things that I really want to point out, and we lost some of our crowd, but people asked because people were upset that they felt like they got the budget and we voted on it. And to us, it was a process, but to the community, they didn't see that process. It was there and it was available, but you have really done a great job of really outlining it. And if community members want to see what we're doing and what we're working with, you have done an excellent job of really explaining it in a way that is digestible for people who don't work in school budgets, because they are really complex. So I just really encourage community members to take a little bit of time and try to understand, so that when we come to that end budget process, it's not as much of a shock, and you can understand it, and then you can sort of see what has happened. So I really appreciate that you listened and you've really made a straightforward process for us all to see if we want to take the time to do it.
Thank you.
And then the second thing I will say again, you said really we have this one big thing that's hanging over us is that levy equalization grant. And I can't stress to people enough that is actually money that we told our community we were going to get if they voted a certain way. We have already budgeted for that money being in our schools and have programs that absolutely depend on it. And now the legislature is saying that they may take it away. And that's just unfathomable to me, and it should be to everybody. And so in this moment, the best advocacy for our district in the immediate is to take one of the letters that has been put on our website and send it to our legislators. Send it to any legislator, just send it. You can find the Education Committee legislators on the website, but if you don't want to do that, copy it off, throw it in all those emails and send it, because, we are the only ones that can advocate, because the people that don't have that grant don't care, because it really affects them none. But for us, it's $750,000 of effect. So if anybody's listening out there and they have 2 seconds, go to our website, grab that template, and please send it out, because it's really hard. You've already bought the carrots, and now you've eaten half the carrots, and now they want the bag of carrots back. And that's really it. So those are the two things I have to say, and thank you very much. I really appreciate your outline there.
Thank you.
Anything else for Mark? All right. Thank you so much, Mark. Okay. We will move on to action items, and Mark's just going to stay right there. And we're going to move on to our resolution for a supplemental budget.
Yes. What you have in front of you is Resolution 2526-03, which is a supplemental budget for this current year. Once again, there's sort of a more of detailed explanation in the FAC meeting, but in a short nutshell, if you recall, the budget that we originally adopted in last year, of course, has to be promulgated in February, March, and there were some uncertainties, and so we had included a staffing allocation of $500,000. We had a $568,000 legislative PERS reduction that, rather than try to filter it back into each and every account that it touches, which is like 400 something, we left it as a line item. And we also tried to update some revenue and expenditures, which ended up with sort of like a $75,000 change in the budget. It was very, very minor. And so this supplemental budget is to codify all that. It also takes care of error that I made in the debt service fund, typographical of calling something a contingency that was an unappropriated ending fund balance. Doesn't change the numbers really for that fund significantly in any way. And just as a reminder, this supplemental budget still targets a 5% ending fund balance and still retains the 0.5% contingency figure that would require board approval to use within that budget.
Okay. I would take a motion on that unless anyone has any questions for Mark.
I move to adopt Resolution 25-26/03, the supplemental budget as presented.
I second.
Okay, so that was a motion by Brandy, and it was second by me, Jesse. Okay. Is there any discussion on that? All right. Hearing none, we're going to go Rich.
Aye.
Krinda.
Aye.
Brandy.
Aye.
Monica.
Aye.
Jesse.
Aye.
Dave.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Thanks very much, Mark.
Thank you.
All right. We will move on to Gus and grant applicant, oh, no, Amy, sorry. Amy. And the approval of grant applications. Oh.
I have friends.
And friends,
friends.
Amy and friends.
Madam
Guys look like a
Chair, members
band.
of the board, I am here tonight to get your approval to apply for 2 grants. I'm here with our Director of Technology, Todd Hellstad, and our Communications Director, Steph Hoppy. So the 2 grants they're both working on the same initiative, so I'll explain them in one package here. The Mills Davis Foundation grant, we're applying for a $44,937.90. And then the Immigrant Refugee Student Success Plan grant for $189,887. Both of these grants will support HRCSD's Equitable Tech Access, Digital Literacy for Rural Families initiative. The goal of this work is to reduce digital, language, and access barriers for rural Spanish-speaking families. And this will occur through 2 digital learning cohorts serving up to 40 families. The participants will receive training on using iPads, school communication tools, such as Parent Square, Google Suite, digital citizenship and safety, and accessing essential community resources. Each family will receive an iPad and a hotspot if needed. And this work directly aligns with our work around family and school partnerships. Just summarized all of that for you.
Very well.
All right, any questions?
I'll move to approve both the Equitable Tech Access Literacy for Rural Families grant application to the that's not Middles, it's Mills Davis, right? Mills Davis Foundation and the amount of $44,937.90, and the Immigrant Refugee Student Success Plan Digital Literacy Cohorts grant application to ODE in the amount of $887,000, yes.
I'll second it.
I'll say, that was moved by Krinda, and Monica, was that your second? You guys, I cannot hear down here. I'm getting
Oh,
older.
sorry.
Todd moved the speakers away from me. All right. I have a first by Krinda, second by Monica. Are there any questions or comments?
Thank you guys for doing the work to try to access more funds for.
This is a really great program.
Yeah,
I was able to be at a couple of those meetings last year or the year before, and it really does allow some of our families to communicate a lot easier. So
Great
thanks for your work.
participation. They really do come prepared to learn and
Yeah.
eager to participate, so it's a very exciting program.
I wish that had been in place when I was a younger person, because my computer skills lack to this day. So anyway, it's too late for me. Let's move on to the future. All right.
Big shout out to Todd and Steph, and then Claire and Paul.
Thank you.
Yeah, supported us with writing these grants. They're always amazing.
They are amazing.
Yeah, we really, that's a fantastic collaboration with our community partners on that.
We're really
Yeah.
lucky.
Yeah, we are really lucky.
I also just want to add one other piece, and that is I appreciate these three's dogged determination to continue to just like go for this. And the reason is because you may recall in the fall, we actually received, you know, a grant from, it was through the feds, through the state, and then that money was clawed back, and so we didn't get the money. That was going to go towards just this purpose here, and so I appreciate Todd, Amy, and Steph, as well as Paul and Claire, continuing to look at other grants in order to be able to make this possible. So I appreciate all of you for your efforts.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. Rich?
Aye.
Brenda? Aye. Brandy?
Aye.
Monica?
Aye.
Jesse? Aye. Dave?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thanks, you guys, for that work on that. Okay. Now we can talk to Gus.
Right.
Tuition student enrollment, out of district.
I don't have any friends with me, but.
It's okay.
We're all your friends. So a couple of requests for the board this evening. The first one is in regards to out-of-district tuition. So historically, we have approved up to 10 students that we would admit with tuition payment. And so this is a request to grant permission for another 10 students, or 10 students again, and also it includes the tuition rate. So you'll notice in the proposal that the tuition rate would be set for this purpose for the 26-27 school year at $12,263, which represents the actual amount that we receive from state per student. So it's reflective of the funding we get per student.
Okay.
Do we have a waiting list for kids looking to enroll from out of district?
For this purpose, I don't believe so. Bill, would you? You can see the history.
At this time, I don't believe we do. I think, you know, we've got all 10 signed up, but again, we have a couple of months before we go through this process again and see if we have other families wanting to enroll.
Just seems with, you know, the issues we have with an enrollment, maybe we could expand it if we needed to.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and we've you know, posed that question amongst ourselves, and we've arrived at 10, and I know the board has arrived at 10, and so when with both tuition paying as well as inter-district transfer requests, we have caps, and the reason is because there's a couple of reasons. One is you want to also think about, you know, risk, because you receive a certain amount of money, and there's a potential that students may come with more needs than what those tuition costs are. And so, you know, if you increase the amount of students that you are taking, you're also increasing your risk for, you know, having more costs to the school district. And so we minimize that by saying we're going to have 10 tuition paying. Same thing with inter-district transfers, capping that at 30. We also recognize we want to be good neighbors to our school districts that are around us with North Wasco and White Salmon and so forth. So.
If there's no other questions, I would take a motion on this.
I move to approve 10 students to enroll in the Hood River County School District through the out-of-district tuition student transfer process for the 2026-2027 school year.
I'll second it.
Okay, moved by Brandy, or Corinda, second by Brandy. Any other comments or questions for Gus? All right.
Aye.
None? Corinda? Brandy?
Aye.
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 You guys can do this all by yourself. And the chair votes aye. That passes unanimously. And we'll do the inter-district student enrollment 26-27.
Thank you. Yes, so this is, as Superintendent Newton mentioned, this is a ongoing annual tradition of identifying the number of students we would take as inter-district transfers. We have traditionally had it set at 30, and so the recommendation is to continue with that same number. It's important to note that for those students that come in, most of them come from North Wasco County School District, and as Superintendent Newton mentioned, you know, being a good neighbor is an important factor. We are thoughtful about the number of students that we bring from North Wasco, because it has can have a detrimental impact for their district. We receive funding directly for those students who we serve through this program. So with that, the recommendation would be to approve 30 students again.
I move to approve 30 interdistrict student transfers in and out of the district for the 2026-2027 school year through the interdistrict transfer process and maintain past practice of allowing multiple year attendance.
I'll second.
Okay, so moved by Corinda and second by Monica. You guys are making Corinda read all of these tonight. Any other questions for Gus or comments? All right, Rich.
Aye.
Corinda.
Aye.
Brandy.
Aye.
Monica.
Aye.
Jesse.
Aye.
Dave.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Thanks very much, Gus. Thanks for your work on that.
Hey, and just for the record, so Megan West has been communicating with me, and so we do have 3 on the tuition list, so you're in the know. But we also have 2 seniors who will be exiting, so we're going to come close to being able to take everyone at that time.
And there is, that the increase that we did was more than I think we've done in the past, and so that might change. So, yeah, we'll just see how it susses out. Yeah, thanks, Megan. She's got us. All right, we are at the last action item. This is a much shorter meeting than last time. Look at us go. All right, so we have one donation to acknowledge tonight, and that is from Jim Greenleaf, and he donated backpacks valued at $1,925 to the district, and Jim is a frequent donor to our district. Both of his daughters went through school here, and so we thank him for his continued support of our district. And I would take a recommendation to...
I move to accept the generous donations as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, moved by Rich and second by Dave. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none. Rich?
Aye.
Corinda?
Aye.
Brandy?
Aye.
Monica?
Aye.
Jesse?
Aye.
Dave? And the chair votes aye, and that passes unanimously. So thank you very much. Before we start, because we have so much time, before we start our board member comments, I'm just going to pass out. So January is School Board Member Appreciation Month, and Megan made some wonderful...
Oh, my God.
board members. So I want you all to make sure that you post these very prominently.
That is so painful.
Here it is.
Oh my God, I can't wait. Put that up.
You all are acknowledged as superheroes.
Wow. We look like we're gonna come back for Avengers Doomsday.
Rich, you got a couple, because you just couldn't choose.
Thanks, Megan.
Thank you, Megan.
I really, thank you all. I mean, as funny and wonderful as these are, you all really are superheroes. I mean, you do a lot of work and don't always get a lot of recognition for being amazing. And so thank you from me and from Megan and hopefully, from our community.
Yeah.
So.
Megan's wanting to know if you are okay with having that posted. Media.
I would really love mine not to be posted.
I look good. She zhuzhed me up a little bit. All right. With that, Rich, we'll start with you.
Okay. Well, of course, appreciate Mid-Valley and the presentation and hosting us. I also was happy to have folks come out from Cascade Locks and just in general talking about budget, because it made me feel like people are aware that we're rolling into that time. We're yet again looking at some really painful budget times ahead, and there's just a lot of challenges coming at us. And so I'm happy to hear that, but I also appreciate the acknowledgement of it's a little bit of a team thing. We're together, and we're doing pretty good in a lot of areas. And but yeah, we got some tough things ahead. I don't know, I guess I won't. I had a note here to again beseech people to write, but I think we've done a lot of beseeching already. However, we might need to. I don't know. Just sitting here just now, Corinne and I couldn't exactly put our finger on the link to the letter that we're claiming is there, and I know it's there, but I'm not sure where you go into the the board or the district website and find it, so I don't know if we want to reiterate that, or if we can put a flashing light on the website or what we do, but, and the only other thing I had is I know the PTO has done a lot of work here and at a lot of our schools, and so yay for PTOs. That's my scattered comments.
Thank you, Rich.
I wanted to say thank you again for Mid-Valley for hosting us. It is always really fun to come up here and see the kids who always get to come too, and then all of the staff members, and the fact that so many of them are graduated from the district is really such a cool thing about Mid-Valley. I do appreciate us starting talking about the budget process, and I also appreciate people talking about it early, because I think it is something we all have to work on together, and I really do appreciate also really looking at what's working, what is like changing things, and how to make sure we're focusing our efforts on things that are going to make a difference for our kids overall. So really do appreciate that. The district is amazing in this time where we talk about not having enough money and getting money. The fact that like our kids in the district can go out and raise so much money for the food drive, and then that we also have communities who are willing to donate money to help kids with art. It really touches me about our community all the time that we really do care about each other. And so I think in this time coming up, we just have to focus on that, because there's lots of stuff that unfortunately are changing and making it harder for us to do what we want to do. Sorry, now I'm emotional. It's just ridiculous. Anyway, anyway, thanks again for coming. I also would pitch the legislative work. I think we're all in for trying to do that. And then, thanks.
Well, thank you again to Mid-Valley. It was great to be here and to see so many of your staff here, and so many that have grown up here and have come back here, which says a lot for you and your school, so thank you for that. Mark, thank you to you and your team for all your work on budget. I know we hear from you here and there, but I know it's an all-year process, constantly changing, and appreciate that you're coming up with different scenarios and working through that for us, and trying to be somewhat proactive as much as you can be, so really appreciate that. And then also, I would say the PTOs, the Puma Pantry, that was really impressive how much work they've done and got that together for the community and how involved the community is. And then also for Cascade Locks with the art as well. And it just shows how much our community is supportive of our schools and, is really involved, and just really appreciate that. So, thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you, staff, PTO, everybody who'd go above and beyond, Cascade Locks, Mark, grant writers that are helping us during this time. And I'm glad that we're starting early with budgeting and learning. I'm one of them, so thank you so much to everybody and supporting community and students. Thank you for hosting us.
Well, echoing what I said earlier and what other board members have said, thank you to Mid-Valley for hosting us. It's always so great to hear about all the wonderful things our school district does, and I've kind of said this before, but like in these unprecedented times, it's always so lovely to hear all of the actual good things that are happening day to day in our community, in our school district. And we've talked about advocacy and the importance of advocacy today, and I'll just reiterate that the legislative session is coming up. It's a good time not just to write to your legislators, but go out to Salem and try to meet with them, take them something tangible, not just your stories, maybe handwrite them. I've seen in my day job with Head Start, I've gone both to Olympia and Salem to kind of do this for early learning, and people will take binders filled with letters or art projects, things to like remind them that we are your people, you serve us, we exist, and we need these services, and this is why they're important. So all the great things that are being done here are just wonderful examples of what we can share with them to say, this is exactly why we need funding and support for these programs, because they are out here making real differences of real impact every day. So thank you to everyone in the school district for their hard work, and specifically to Mid-Valley, since we're highlighting y'all today, and the PTO. Thank you.
I'd like to start off by recognizing the teachers at the high school and Lindsay Wiesman for a great effort regarding the canned food drive this year and all the money that they've generated that's going to go back out to our community. So thank you for that. Thanks Kim and Garrett for hosting us. It's always a pleasure to hear about the ongoings of the Pumas at Mid-Valley and learning about AVID and your dual language program. You've got a great community here and a wonderful PTO that's pitching in, and the playground and all that. Like, I can remember going back and coaching baseball games back there when there was just a really, really ratty baseball field. And to see what that's become is spectacular. And thank you, Mark, for your presentation on what we have to look forward to with the budget. And it's a little weird, you know, getting these things cast out, but I mean, the upcoming budget stuff just really, and it makes, seeing some of those scenarios just makes my stomach drop. So, you know, we've got our work cut out for us as a community and, you know, school leadership, board leadership, but advocate on the state level all that you can.
Thanks, Dave. Sometimes during these meetings, I just hear over and over one word, and this one to me is just especially important because of what's happening throughout our nation. The idea of community right now is just so important, and to embrace community and to embrace each other. And sometimes in a small town that's easier and sometimes it's harder. But throughout this entire meeting, that's all I've heard is community. At Mid-Valley, you see community in their PTO and a pantry that is just meant to help people and to serve kids and families. You have a staff here that celebrates culture and differences and really just makes us remember that we all have specialness in us and it should be celebrated. You have students that grew up here who want to stay here and come back and continue to serve their community because of what their community gave to them. And I really would be shocked if there was anywhere else in this state that had those kind of numbers. The Hood River Valley High School can drive and food drive, you know, that was throughout all of our schools. And those kids worked hard to feed people that needed help because of community and because of what they're taught and because of their values. And just to see them work so hard for that, it just can't be understated. Our IT department, and Steph and Todd especially, worked so hard to communicate with our entire community to make people feel like we are one and we all work together to support our schools because we know that that makes a strong community. So that's really my message today, is that, like, we're doing it and we just need to keep doing all these amazing things that we are and to recognize how important that is. So I just want to say thank you to everybody and continue to advocate for our schools so that we can continue to have amazing people doing amazing things. It's on the website. You just have to push on it, click it, add your name, and send it. So thank you all very much for a great meeting.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
Because before I was saying I couldn't find it on the webpage, and now I did.
Megan,
So-
you literally just sent it to me.
Yeah.
Okay,
good.
So it's just on the main page, and you scroll down just a little bit, and it's on the left, and
Yeah.
it's
Easy.
really obvious.
All right. And at 8:20, we'll sign out. Thank you all very much.